And welcome to 1500ESPN.com, senior editor Derek Wetmore and Vikings beat reporter Andrew Krammer. We're out here at Winter Park again, where the big news of the day, I guess, we got to talk with Josh Freeman for the first time. He had the conference call 2 days ago, but today he spoke in person in the locker room. What was the overall sense you got from Mr. Freeman today?
Mr. Freeman was very humble today. He stands a lot taller than a few quarterbacks here. He's 6'5", so seeing him in person was quite the sight. But he came in with a very soft-spoken kind of demeanor. He wasn't taking charge at all, but he just talked about how he needed to learn the offense. He said his number one goal was obviously to be able to run the offense with limited packages in emergency situations. So you can kind of take two things out of that. One, that either means that Ponder, they're already planning on him being inactive and they want him as the backup, or they're planning for worst case scenario, Ponder is inactive with the rib injury and Freeman has to be the backup. Their plan could still be to have Freeman be inactive and then have Ponder be the backup depending on how that rib is. Ponder didn't talk today, so we didn't get to figure out what the situation is with his rib. Obviously, Frazier and the coaches are hands off regarding that and aren't going to talk about it until later in the week. So we probably won't find out again on Friday until who the starting quarterback is, but Frazier already ruled out Freeman.
Yeah, and Frazier did talk in his press conference. He said it doesn't make sense for us. There's no sense of urgency to name a starting quarterback, and I agree with him. I think it makes sense to sort of kick that can down the road. Yeah. I talked with Matt Castle today, too, who was very diplomatic about it. The 9-year pro knows better than to ruffle any feathers. I think personally he's likely the starter on Sunday, and I think that's the general opinion of reporters around this team. But it doesn't make any sense for him to stir the pot, I guess. The other big news, the Vikings extended defensive end Brian Robison today to a 4-year contract extension. It's in the ballpark of $28 million. I've seen reported that it was $28.3 million, waiting on confirmation for that. Andrew, what's the big with the defensive ends all becoming free agents this offseason, was it important to get Robison done first?
I would say it was. He's relatively one of the younger ones. He's only 30. Everson Griffin, obviously being 25 years old. He's another one that's in the ballpark of getting extended. But it's good to get that Robison deal done because he's younger. He's got 1 year less wear and tear on than a guy like Jared Allen. And he also costs a little less than Jared Allen. Now, I haven't crunched the numbers on what per year this is going to be for Robison, but it's not necessarily a cheap contract. So they're still investing in him, and they're still expecting him to put up numbers like he has been. And he's shown this year that he can do that. So that's no worry. But it'll be interesting to watch what they do down the road. Now, Everson Griffin told us just after practice that within the past month or so, or within the offseason relatively, he was offered a contract extension by the Vikings. He and his agent turned it down, said it wasn't in the ballpark that they wanted, which is interesting because he must feel, and his agent must feel, that he's earned quite a paycheck after last season's 8 sacks in a rotational role. He's played that role this year too, but he hasn't really lived up to it. Fans have kind of said, myself included, that he's been kind of invisible. He obviously made the game-winning sack and strip fumble against Pittsburgh. But other than that, he hasn't done much. So it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out with an aging Jared Allen, who has performed as well as he has in purple, in my opinion, obviously with that giant year not too long ago, 2 years ago. So we'll see how that all plays out contract-wise.
Yeah, and it should be interesting. We're getting Jared Allen tomorrow. He's always a fun interview, and I think he'll probably have some things to say tomorrow. So keep checking back to the website, 1500ESPN.com. For Vikings beat guy Andrew Krammer, I'm Derek Wetmore.